Welcome back. So what I wanted to talk about today, I'm planning on doing a few guided meditations that are related to love and compassion and how that figures into adopting a vegan lifestyle. And so I wanted to talk about the philosophy of training the mind as it exists in Tibetan Buddhism, as I understand it. One of the things that I think is really empowering about what Tibetan Buddhism teaches, and it's not my goal to make people Buddhist. I won't really be bringing in Buddhist concepts other than love and compassion to this channel. So things that are, I think, generally applicable to people is what I'll be dealing with. But the Buddhist view of the mind, I think, is very helpful in this regard, which is to say that Buddhism views our consciousness as an energy that is able to develop an awareness of what it is focused on. And this process is considered to be one that has no natural limit. So the body, we might try to train the physical body to perform some activity, but there will be a biological limit to the extent to which we succeed in training the body. But the mind is different. The mind is a formless energy that can become familiar with what it is put upon to an unlimited degree. So if we put the mind on negative or destructive views like anger and jealousy and covetousness and maliciousness and ill will, then we can develop those mental qualities without limit. But similarly, if we put the mind on virtuous actions like love and compassion and generosity and patience, joyous effort, those things, we can develop those qualities also without limit. And so the way in which Buddhists do this is predominantly through meditation. And so I wanted to talk about the role of meditation in spirituality and how meditation is a tool that can be used to cultivate love and compassion. And by cultivating love and compassion, how we can use that as the bedrock of changing our decisions regarding the use of animals in food and entertainment and clothing and things like that. So the Buddhist view is that everything that we are right now is a reflection of what the mind, our mind, is presently most familiar with. And so that's changeable. If right now we are an angry person or a jealous person or whatever, we can become familiar with something else. And then in the future, our actions of body, speech, and mind will naturally flow from that new familiarity. The word meditation in Tibetan is the word gom, which in English translates to familiarize. So many people may not be familiar with the particular techniques of Tibetan Buddhism in meditation. And what I mean by that in particular is what's called analytical meditation. Many people are familiar with breathing meditation, which is what's considered a non-analytical or non-conceptual meditation. In Tibetan Buddhism, the emphasis really is on analytical meditations. And in these meditations, we follow a chain of reasoning, a chain of logic in the meditation session. And that chain of reasoning leads us to a particular insight about the topic that we're meditating on. And that insight is really the point of that session of meditation. And so when by following that chain of reasoning, we develop that insight, we then focus our mind, our attention on that insight single-pointedly, or as single-pointedly as possible. And so, of course, distractions arise in meditation, but our job is then to notice the distraction, lift our attention off of the distraction, and return our attention back to the intended or chosen object of that meditation. So when we're doing an analytical meditation on compassion, for example, there will be two parts to that meditation. The first part will be where we are following, sort of actively following this chain of reasoning. And then by doing that, the insight will dawn in the mind. And that's the second part of the meditation session. And when that insight does dawn in the mind, we stop analyzing the topic and we just focus our attention on that insight. So I'm very much a proponent of the view that most people are already vegan in their thinking, in their aspirations, in their values, in the things that they think are right and just and appropriate. But many people just haven't necessarily made the ethical connection between what those values and those beliefs really mean and how they translate into their actions that relate to things that are so normalized in our society that they kind of they exist without critical reflection. So, as I said, I'll be doing some guided meditations that will be coming up where we will be looking at our relationship to animals through the lens of love and compassion. And doing that means that we become a more compassionate person. What Buddhism focuses on predominantly or primarily is the mental level of things. So if we can become a more compassionate person, a more open-hearted person, a more loving person, then for that kind of person, the choice to pay people to harm animals for our sense pleasure will become impossible. There's a great Buddhist teacher, Lama Yeshe, and he says that, if you're sitting down to a meal of animal flesh and then you reflect on the pain and the suffering that the animal went through, you won't be able to actually eat that meal. And so that's the kind of awareness and training that I'm hoping to give people examples of. So those videos will be coming up. Those guided meditations, those analytical meditations will be coming up. So look for those. I'll put some links in the description about some books that are really good places to start for learning the Tibetan Buddhist approach to meditation. So I look forward to engaging with you on those guided meditation topics. So shortly I'll be posting again, so I hope to see everyone back. Thanks very much.